Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Xenoblade 3. So, my experience with this series so far is I played everything that's come before 3, except for Xenoblade X. So I played all of Xenoblade 1, and Future Connected, and all of Xenoblade 2, and Torna Golden Country. So yeah, now I'm finally getting into Xenoblade 3, and yeah. I didn't really know much about the game before playing it, besides like maybe a few things I'd seen from trailers, but honestly, it had been so long since I'd seen the trailers, I kind of forgot about most of that anyway. But yeah, just going into how the plot of the game is. So basically, much like any other Xenoblade, it's about a cast of characters that wants to change the world. But it starts off with 3 people on each side of opposing factions, one of which is supposed to be like the Xenoblade 1 side, and the other one's kind of like the Xenoblade 2 side. And basically, these two groups of 3 go to fight each other until they get intercepted by like an unknown like third party. And basically, they inherit a power from this third party, which allows them to become something called Ouroboros, which I thought would be something kind of like what is seen in like mythology, like you see in SMT. But then they just fuse and become Gundam instead. So I was like, okay, no snake thing, just giant robot. And yeah, from there, they just go on to change the world, and basically stop this like endless fighting between the two factions, with Keves and Agnes. But yeah, that's kind of like the basic overview of the plot. For gameplay, it's very similar to Xenoblade 2, where it's a lot more simplified and refined, even more so now this time. So depending on what character you play as, your arts will either recharge over time or recharge depending on how many auto attacks you land. And now with this new Ouroboros power, you can fuse into that and just become a giant robot and do a lot of damage. But the special power-up only has like a limited amount of time they can use it for, but the attacks are always pretty cool. And what is new here is that you have 2 different types of blade combos you can do. So you can go with Daze and Burst, which is something from Xenoblade 1, although I don't really remember Burst in Xenoblade 1, I just remember Daze. And when you can go with the blade combo you see in Xenoblade 2, even though there aren't like elemental affinities anymore, you still have like the launch and smash part of it, which is pretty neat. So you can kind of choose what way you want to go about doing it. So for instance, I think launch and smash will do a lot more damage in your combo, but going with Daze and Burst will basically calm down an enemy's aura if they're at that point, which would pretty much just be bosses and unique monsters. But it's still very helpful because it basically calms them down and makes it easier to fight. So getting into things that I liked and didn't like about the game. First off, I think the graphics are actually really good. This is probably one of the best looking Switch games just because like the scope of the world is so massive. And everything looks really nice. And along with that, which I was even more surprised by, it actually runs really great too. Because Xenoblade 2 had a lot of weird performance problems. Probably just because it was an early Switch game. You know, Monolith Soft was still getting used to using the hardware efficiently. But I can say that like the frame rate and everything just is way better in Xenoblade 3. Like I never had problems with like textures not loading in, like Xenoblade 2 would have at times when you just load it into an area. And yeah, so overall just like it looks great and it runs great for Switch. Not sure what the resolution is. I'm sure the frame rate is something close to 30, but I mean it looks great for Switch, so that's good for me. Overall, I actually really like the story. That's something I kind of had a problem with in Xenoblade 2. The narrative itself wasn't super interesting, and it more so relied on the character development to keep the story interesting. But I think that Xenoblade 3 has a good mix of both character development, keeping the story interesting, while also have a very focused narrative that's also captivating. So, because I don't want to get into, you know, specifics about the story or anything, I'll just leave it at that. But I will say I had a good time just going along with the story. So another thing that compared to 2 that I like now is that most of the main cast members I actually like this time around. In Xenoblade 2 it felt like it was like a 50-50, like I don't like them or I do like them. But in this one, of like the 6 main characters, I like 5 of the 6. Senna is the only one I'm not really like a big fan of, but I mean, yeah, everyone else is actually really well developed, and I like their characters a lot. So one thing that is about combat, I think it flows a lot better in this than any of the other ones, partially because now you have 6 party members fighting at the same time, and previously in both 1 and 2 it had always only been 3 party members fighting at the same time. I think now that they have this like 6, combat will flow a lot easier and just goes quicker, but at the same time you will generally be fighting more than just like 1 or 2 enemies at a time, so it kind of pays off. Like, you have more people in your party, but you'll sometimes be facing a lot more enemies than normal. And like a lot of other Xenoblade games, like the soundtrack is phenomenal. I feel like I say that about almost every single game, but I feel like I'm just lucky to play a lot of games I think actually have super well done soundtracks. Especially like some of the boss themes are really, really nice. And I'm probably going to be playing some of the music throughout the video just to give examples of it, so I won't loiter on that for much longer. So another thing that I really liked about this game is that it had a really good ending, because as I mentioned perpetually in every other video probably, I like games that have bittersweet endings. Like, it's not always like everything worked out perfectly, and this definitely has that, so I think that it captivated me with that. It's like the #1 thing you can do to appeal to me with your narrative is give it a sad ending. Another thing that they changed to the game that I do like, although it will be said that I did like how it was in Torna, is they always like to revamp how chain attacks work. So in Xenoblade 3, how chain attacks work is they take character classes into consideration. So there's 3 main classes, which is like attacker, healer, and tank. So attacker will be like your main damage dealing type. Tank is sort of neutral. Healing will usually do like a lot. You like give a lot of points that will lead up to like a big attack. But the thing with healers is they will never go over 100. They won't go over 99. So anything that's like past 99, like 100 and over, will like initiate whatever person's turn you want to start like the big chain attack with, and then you just continue on from that, considering that you haven't used every single person yet, and using like the select person. So say you choose Noah and then you choose him to like do like a small attack, will result in extra points since it was him. But it will also do for things, say like you choose Senna, who's also an attacker, but Noah was your like guy who's going to do the big attack at the very end. You also get points just because of the attacker role. And if there were Keves or Agnes, you know, affiliation with that will also score more points. But they keep on doing this, which is just like a normal, like, powerful attack. But you can also, if you do really good, while also incorporating blade combos, like break, topple, launch, daze, burst, smash, like all those things, you will get an Ouroboros attack, which will just, like, completely probably destroy the enemy if they're not a boss enemy. Like, it's insane. You'll get, like, your final like value for damage they did to an enemy will usually be like in the millions. So it's really, really strong and powerful, and I like how like not easy it is, because I feel like Torno's was also very good, but it was pretty easy to, you know, figure out what to do to get like the biggest damage possible. It's not quite so easy because the values leading up to 100 are always changing, but it does keep you on your feet in a way that is good. I do really like how they figured out how to make chain attacks in this one. And yeah, that's about everything I can think for the most part with the things I liked, which were kind of a lot. I feel like I kind of went through it quicker than normal, but I still did like the game a lot. So now for things that I didn't really like quite so much. I think just in total, the story, or not really a story, just the game in general, is way too long. Like, compared to Xenoblade 1 and 2, I probably spent maybe 50 hours on the main campaign, not touching Future Connected or Torna, but with this I spent about 90 hours, so it took much longer, but I don't really think it needed to. Like, I feel like a lot of it was padded out with like stuff that could have been saved for like side content. Another thing that I didn't really like a whole lot is that combat, for the most part, while I do like it, is really, really easy and mindless until you eventually hit like a unique monster or a boss which will actually challenge you. Because for most enemies, you're just going to be using the same exact thing over and over. You just keep on, you know, get them in a use break, and then eventually they'll get locked in some sort of blade combo, and then keep doing that and healing. And it's basically the game plays itself for the most part until you hit a boss or a unique enemy. So I would have liked it if the game was like actually a bit more engaging with its own combat. One thing that is pretty hit or miss, I think, is the voice acting. So I think for the main cast, it's pretty good, but then you get to like the optional stuff per se, like the hero class, which is like a 7th party member who will join. You can basically choose whoever it is, and the voice acting is either like, okay, this fits, or like, I cannot stand it. I'm gonna put up an example of that.
I wish there was. I really do. But now that it's taken to the skies, there's not much recourse.
But I think for the most part, at least, the game did a good job of giving the main cast and main antagonists very good voice acting. So, but yeah, just that optional stuff did really throw me off. I was like, why did this have to be a thing? Another thing that was kind of disappointing is that the main big villain of the game is actually like just kind of lame in the bigger picture, but fortunately, like the second main villain of sorts, not the final boss, but just like a big villain of the series, or not the series, just in the game, takes a very integral role to actually being like a compelling villain. Whereas with Zed, I was just like, I don't really get it. Like he doesn't like stand out at all. Like with N, you can really see why he is a villain, and like he's very compelling too. But Zed is just, I don't like him. Another thing that I didn't enjoy is this. A lot of the side content is just fetch quests, and it's been like that with like every single game. Like they're not really interesting, but they will lock like important content behind some of this stuff. Like if you want to level up your classes with one of those supporting hero characters, you have to like help out their town or whatever, or their colony, until the affinity of the colony is reached really high, and then you unlock like a super special side mission that like will raise their class amount, so like you're not locked off at a certain level anymore. But side content is really just fetch quests, like go here or kill this or find this, and it does not really differ like at all. So that's kind of a letdown, but I mean it is for the most part optional. But yeah, I mean overall I did actually really enjoy this game. I'm thinking about it. It's up there with Torna. So I think overall I would give the game a 6 out of 7. Like it's really good, with just like some things that just really brought it down. Like it's a game with like a lot of highs, but also like a lot of lows. Whereas Torna, I feel, is like more consistently just pretty good. So, but I don't know which one of the two I like more. But yeah, 6 out of 7 game. Definitely worth your while. I would pick it up if it's like on a sale or something. But I gotta shout this out because I didn't even buy this game. My friend bought it for me because he loves it so much. So gotta shout out to my buddy who bought that for me. Thanks, man. That means a lot. But yeah, I'm probably gonna be covering Future Redeemed soon because I did buy the DLC. So yeah, I'll be covering that eventually, I guess. But yeah, that's about it for the video. Thoughts, comments, let me know in the comments. See you later. Bye.